The Warrior's Code, Chapter 1, Captive of Honor. The metallic tang of blood filled Alex Mason's mouth as he slumped against the cold wall of the Zarathi holding cell. Through the throbbing pain in his head, he could hear the dull roar of the battle still raging outside. The Terran Republic cruiser Valiant, his home for the last 5 years, had been torn apart by the Zarathi fighters. Their sleek, organic ships danced around the Valiant's superior firepower, their pilots displaying a terrifying grace and precision that belied their savage reputation. Alex, a seasoned veteran of countless firefights, had never faced an enemy like this. The Zarathi were relentless, their attacks swift and coordinated. They fought with a ferocity that bordered on primal, yet their movements were disciplined and calculated. It was a dance of death, and the Terrans were losing. Badly. Now here he was, a prisoner of war, awaiting his fate. The cell was stark and bare, the walls made of some smooth alien material that felt cold to the touch. A dim, pulsating light emanated from an unseen source, casting long shadows that danced eerily across the floor. The air was thick with an unfamiliar scent, a mix of ozone and something musky, perhaps pheromones. The door hissed open and a towering figure stepped into the cell. Commander Talar, the leader of the Zarathi Honor Guard, stood before Alex, his eyes burning with an intensity that sent shivers down Alex's spine. Talar's skin was a deep shade of indigo, his face adorned with intricate tattoos that seemed to writhe and shift like living creatures. His armor was a masterpiece of craftsmanship, a blend of organic materials and advanced technology that exuded an aura of power and authority. He stood there silent and imposing, regarding Alex with a gaze that felt like a physical touch. Human, Talar's voice boomed, a deep, resonant sound that vibrated through Alex's bones. You have shown great courage and tenacity in battle, but your efforts were futile. Your kind is no match for the Zarathi. Alex raised his chin, refusing to show weakness despite the pain racking his body. We fight for our home, our families, our freedom. That's something worth fighting for, even against impossible odds. A flicker of surprise crossed Talar's face. He had expected the human to beg for mercy, to grovel at his feet. Instead, he was met with defiance, a spark of the same warrior spirit that burned within his own people. You speak of honor, Talar said, his voice softening slightly, but your actions betray your words. Your republic is a plague upon the galaxy, a cancer that consumes all in its path. Alex's jaw tightened. We're not all like that. There are those of us who believe in justice, in honor, but our voices are drowned out by the warmongers in power. Talar tilted his head, studying Alex with a newfound curiosity. Perhaps, he said, but actions speak louder than words. You have demonstrated a warrior spirit. But are you truly worthy of the title? Alex met Talar's gaze, his own eyes burning with a fire that refused to be extinguished. Test me, he said. Show me what it means to be a true warrior. A slow, almost predatory smile spread across Talar's face. Very well, he said. You shall have your chance to prove yourself. But know this, human. The path of the warrior is fraught with peril. Many have faltered. Few have emerged victorious. Talar turned and gestured for Alex to follow. As they exited the cell, Alex caught a glimpse of the Zarathi city through a narrow window. The architecture was unlike anything he had ever seen, a harmonious blend of organic forms and advanced technology. The buildings seemed to grow out of the very rock of the planet, their spires reaching towards the crimson sky. It was a world of harsh beauty, a world of warriors, and Alex, the captive of honor, was about to become a part of it. Chapter 2, Trial by Fire and Steel. The Zarathi city, carved into the rust-colored cliffs, was a maze of winding tunnels and cavernous chambers. Alex, his wounds hastily treated, was led through the labyrinth by 2 silent guards, their chitinous armor clicking softly on the stone floors. The air was hot and dry, carrying the scent of spices and something metallic, like blood drying in the sun. The first trial was a test of endurance. Alex was stripped of his uniform and given a simple loincloth to wear. Then he was led into the desert, a vast expanse of sand and rock stretching as far as the eye could see. The sun beat down mercilessly, baking the ground until it was hot enough to blister bare skin. Alex's orders were simple: survive. He was given no food, no water, no tools, only his wits and the knowledge he had gleaned from survival training back on Earth. For 3 days and nights, Alex wandered the desert, following the tracks of small animals, scavenging for edible plants, and using his knife to carve out shallow depressions in the sand to collect dew. He battled thirst, hunger, and the constant fear of the unknown. He saw strange creatures lurking in the shadows, heard the howls of predators echoing through the night. But he persevered, driven by his stubborn pride and the desire to prove his worth to the Zarathi. On the 4th day, Alex stumbled back into the city, his body emaciated, his skin blistered and cracked. But his eyes were clear, his spirit unbroken. The Zarathi warriors who had been watching him from afar murmured their approval. The next trial was a test of skill. Alex was brought to an arena carved into the side of a cliff. The spectators, Zarathi warriors of all ranks, watched from above, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. In the center of the arena stood a Zarathi warrior, armed with a pair of wickedly curved blades. Alex was given a similar set of blades and told to fight. The Zarathi warrior moved with lightning speed, his blades flashing in the sunlight. Alex, hampered by his exhaustion and unfamiliarity with the weapons, barely managed to parry the initial onslaught. But as the fight wore on, he began to adapt. He studied his opponent's movements, anticipated his attacks, and used his smaller size and agility to his advantage. The crowd roared as the two warriors clashed, their blades sparking and clanging. Alex fought with a desperate ferocity, knowing that his life depended on it. He dodged, parried, and countered, his movements becoming more fluid with each passing moment. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Alex found an opening. He lunged forward, his blade sinking deep into the Zarathi warrior's chest. The crowd fell silent as the warrior crumpled to the ground, his lifeblood staining the sand. Alex stood over his fallen opponent, his chest heaving, his blades dripping with blood. He had won. He had proven himself to the Zarathi. Talar descended into the arena, his eyes filled with a newfound respect. "You have fought well, human," he said. "You have shown courage, skill, and a willingness to learn. You have earned the right to be called a warrior." Alex bowed his head, acknowledging Talar's words. He was exhausted, but he also felt a sense of accomplishment, a feeling that he had crossed a threshold and entered a new world. "But your journey is not yet over," Talar continued. "There is much more for you to learn. If you are willing, I will teach you the warrior's code, the way of the Zarathi." Alex looked up, his eyes meeting Talar's. A new fire burned within him, a hunger for knowledge, and a desire to understand these strange and honorable aliens. "I am willing," he said. Chapter 3. The Path of the Warrior. The Zarathi training grounds were a stark contrast to the sterile simulation rooms back on Earth. Carved into the living rock of a canyon, the arena echoed with the clash of blades, the grunts of exertion, and the sharp cries of the Zarathi warriors. Alex, clad in simple Zarathi training garb, stood alongside his comrades, sweat beading on his brow as he practiced the intricate footwork of their traditional sword dance. "Remember, human," Talar's voice boomed over the din, "the warrior's code is not just about strength and skill, it is about discipline, control, and respect for your opponent." Alex nodded, his focus unwavering, as he executed a series of fluid movements, deflecting the practiced blows of his sparring partner with a borrowed Zarathi blade. The weapon felt alien in his hand, its curved edge and organic grip unfamiliar, yet he was quickly adapting to its unique balance and feel. "Again," Talar commanded, and Alex lunged forward, his blade flashing in the afternoon sun. The training was relentless, but Alex reveled in the challenge. He had always been a quick learner, and the Zarathi's emphasis on precision and economy of movement resonated with his own military training. Beyond the training grounds, Alex spent hours poring over ancient Zarathi texts, deciphering their intricate language and absorbing their rich history and philosophy. He learned about the Zarathi's deep reverence for nature, their communal way of life, and their unwavering commitment to honor and justice. In the evenings, he would sit by the fire with Talar and the other warriors, listening to their stories of past battles, their triumphs and tragedies. He learned about the Zarathi's long history of defending their homeworld against invaders, their unwavering loyalty to their people, and their belief in the sanctity of life. As Alex's understanding of the Zorathi deepened, so too did his bond with his captors. He began to see them not as enemies, but as fellow warriors, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, their own hopes and fears. One evening, as they sat around the fire, a grizzled veteran named Jorah spoke of the war with the Terran Republic. His voice was filled with sorrow and anger as he recounted the atrocities committed by the human invaders. "They came to our world with promises of peace and trade," Jorah said, his eyes burning with a fierce light. "But they brought only destruction and death. They plundered our resources, enslaved our people, and desecrated our sacred lands." Alex listened in stunned silence. The narrative he had been fed by the Terran Republic was completely different. They were the liberators, the protectors, the ones bringing civilization to the savages. But Jorah's words painted a starkly different picture, one that resonated with the honor and integrity he had witnessed firsthand among the Zarathi. A seed of doubt was planted in Alex's mind that night, a doubt that would grow and blossom in the coming days as he continued to learn about the Zorathi and question everything he thought he knew about the war. Chapter 4: Truth and Treason. Weeks turned into months, and Alex became a fixture in the Zarathi community. He sparred with the warriors, debated philosophy with the elders, and even learned to play a haunting melody on a Zarathi flute. The initial suspicion towards him had melted away, replaced by a grudging respect, then camaraderie, and finally something akin to friendship. One evening, Talar invited Alex to his personal quarters, a simple yet elegant space carved into the rock face. A low table held a holographic projector, its soft glow illuminating a series of ancient Zarathi texts. "Alex," Talar began, his voice grave, "you have proven yourself a worthy warrior. You have embraced our ways, our customs, our code. But there is one more test you must face, a test of truth and loyalty." He activated the projector, and the room filled with images. Terran Republic ships bombarding Zarathi cities, Zorathi civilians fleeing in terror, Terran soldiers executing unarmed prisoners. Alex's stomach churned as he watched the scenes unfold. "These are lies," Alex whispered, his voice barely audible. Talar nodded. "They are indeed. The Terran Republic paints us as savages, as aggressors. But the truth is far different. We were a peaceful people, content with our simple lives. It was your republic that invaded our space, that plundered our resources, that slaughtered our people." Alex's mind reeled. He had always believed in the righteousness of the Terran Republic's cause, the noble mission to bring civilization to the galaxy. But the images he was seeing, the stories he had heard from the Zorathi, painted a different picture. A picture of greed, deceit, and ruthless ambition. "Why?" Alex asked, his voice hoarse. "Why would they lie?" Talar's eyes hardened. "Power. Control. The Terran Republic seeks to dominate the galaxy, to bend all races to their will. They fear those who are different, those who refuse to bow before them, and so they paint us as monsters, as a threat to be eliminated." Alex sat in stunned silence, the weight of Talar's words pressing down on him. He had been lied to, betrayed by his own government. The thought filled him with a burning rage, but also a deep sense of shame. "What are you going to do?" Talar asked, his gaze piercing Alex's soul. Alex took a deep breath, his mind racing. He could expose the truth, but it would mean betraying his oaths, his comrades, everything he had ever believed in. Or he could remain silent, complicit in the Terran Republic's crimes. But then he remembered the warrior's code, the principles he had come to embrace. Honor, truth, justice. These were the values that mattered, not blind loyalty to a corrupt regime. Alex looked up, his eyes meeting Talar's. "I will honor the warrior's code," he said, his voice firm. "I will expose the truth, no matter the cost." Chapter 5: The Arena of Truth. A hush fell over the Zorathi arena, a vast natural amphitheater carved into the heart of a sandstone mesa. Thousands of indigo-skinned warriors lined the stone tiers, their eyes gleaming with anticipation. At the center of the arena, a ceremonial circle etched into the sand marked the battleground. Alex stood opposite his opponent, a hulking Zorathi named Zerk. his face etched with the scars of 100 battles. Zerk, a decorated veteran and a vocal supporter of the war, had accepted Alex's challenge without hesitation, eager to defend his people's honor against the human interloper. The two warriors circled each other, their weapons raised in the traditional Zarathi salute. Alex gripped the hilt of his borrowed Zarathi blade, its curved edge glinting in the harsh sunlight. It was a weapon he had grown accustomed to, a weapon that now felt like an extension of his own will. The signal to fight was given, a deep, resonant gong that echoed through the arena. Zerk charged, his blades a blur of motion. Alex parried the initial onslaught, his movements fluid and precise. He had learned well from his Zarathi teachers, mastering their intricate footwork and devastating counterattacks. The two warriors clashed, their blades singing a deadly song of steel on steel. Zerk was strong and relentless, but Alex was faster, more agile. He weaved and bobbed, dodging Zerk's blows while landing strikes of his own. The crowd roared, their excitement growing with each exchange. As the fight wore on, Alex's confidence grew. He had not only mastered the Zarathi's fighting style, but he had also internalized their warrior spirit, their unwavering focus and determination. He fought not just to win, but to honor the code he had come to embrace. In a final desperate move, Zerk lunged at Alex, his blades aimed at the human's heart. Alex, anticipating the attack, spun aside, his own blade slicing through Zerk's arm, disarming him. Zerk stumbled back, his face contorted in pain and disbelief. Alex lowered his blade, his heart pounding in his chest. He had won, but the true battle had just begun. He raised his voice, addressing the stunned crowd. "Zarathi brothers and sisters," he began, his words echoing through the arena. "I have come to your world as a prisoner, but I have learned much from your people. I have learned about honor, courage, and the importance of truth." The crowd murmured, their attention riveted on the human warrior. "But there is a truth that has been hidden from you," Alex continued, his voice growing stronger. "The Terran Republic did not come to your world in peace. They came to conquer, to plunder, to enslave. They lied to their own people, painting you as savages, as monsters. But I have seen your honor, your compassion, your love for your world. You are not the enemy." A wave of shock and disbelief washed over the crowd. Talar, standing among the Zarathi leaders, watched Alex with a mixture of pride and apprehension. "The Terran Republic has betrayed your trust," Alex declared. "They have betrayed the very principles they claim to uphold. I cannot stand by and let this injustice continue. I choose to stand with you, to fight for the truth." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Some warriors raised their blades in solidarity, while others looked to their leaders for guidance. The seeds of doubt had been sown, and the ripples of Alex's words would soon spread throughout the Zarathi nation, forever altering the course of the war. Chapter 6, A New Dawn. The Zarathi council chambers, hewn from the living rock of the mesa, buzzed with a tension unlike any Alex had ever felt. The air crackled with unspoken words, the shifting gazes of the gathered leaders, a silent debate played out in the open. Talar stood beside Alex, a silent sentinel of strength and resolve. "Your words have shaken us, human," the High Elder, her voice a rasping whisper, addressed Alex. "The warrior's code demands truth, and you have spoken it. But the path ahead is uncertain." Alex met her gaze, his voice steady. "The path to peace is always uncertain, Elder. But it is a path we must tread together." Days blurred into a tense dance of diplomacy. Alex, acting as an intermediary, facilitated communication between the Zarathi and a growing faction of dissenting Terran officers. Holographic messages flashed back and forth across the vast expanse of space, filled with accusations, demands, and cautious offers of compromise. Back on Earth, news of Alex's actions had ignited a firestorm. Protests erupted across the Terran Republic, citizens demanding an end to the war and the impeachment of corrupt officials. Soldiers on the front lines, inspired by Alex's courage, began to question their orders. The tide was turning. Talar and Alex stood on a cliff overlooking the sprawling Zarathi city, bathed in the warm glow of the twin suns. The air was still, the only sound the gentle rustling of the desert wind through the spiky, red vegetation. "The seeds of doubt have been sown," Talar said, his voice barely a whisper. The Terran Republic is crumbling from within, but the path to peace is long and treacherous. Alex nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. I know, he said, but we must not falter. We must hold on to hope, even in the darkest of times. Talar placed a hand on Alex's shoulder, a rare gesture of affection from the stoic warrior. You have become one of us, Alex Mason, a true Zarathi warrior. You have earned your place among the stars. A wave of emotion washed over Alex, a mixture of pride, humility, and gratitude. He had come to this alien world as a prisoner, but he had found a home, a family, a purpose. He had become a bridge between two worlds, a symbol of unity and hope. Months later, a fragile peace accord was signed between the Terran Republic and the Zarathi. The war was over, replaced by a cautious optimism and a willingness to learn from each other. Alex stood alongside Talar as they addressed a crowd of humans and Zarathi, their words broadcast across the galaxy. We have learned a hard lesson, Alex said, his voice echoing through the vastness of space. We have learned that war is not the answer, that true strength lies in unity, in understanding, in honor. We have learned that even the most different of beings can find common ground, can forge a bond that transcends species and culture. The crowd erupted in cheers, a chorus of voices raised in celebration of peace and a new beginning. Alex looked out at the sea of faces, human and Zarathi alike, and felt a sense of profound satisfaction. He had not only survived his captivity, he had thrived. He had become a warrior, a leader, a beacon of hope. And as he stood there, bathed in the warm glow of the twin suns, he knew that his journey was far from over. There were still challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them, armed with the warrior's code and the unwavering belief that humanity, at its best, could achieve greatness. The warrior's code was not just a set of rules or a philosophy. It was a way of life, a path of honor and integrity. And Alex Mason, the human warrior, had embraced it fully, forever bound to the Zarathi and their noble ideals.